Hello. I'll take my glasses off. Uh, so, I'm just bored, lonely. I think I mentioned that in my last video. I don't want to make a lot of videos, but I have some things I'm just like playing with the internet and thinking about things. And I felt like, well, I wanted to do this sort of comparison contrast movie review on two movies that one's really well known, Titanic, and the other one is maybe not as well known, Revolutionary Road, but they star the same two actors, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. And I really admire both of those actors. Uh, Before I do my comparison contrast commentary, I do want to say that those two films, Titanic and Revolutionary Road, which stars those two actors together, those are not in my opinion, my favorite picks for their best performances. I just want to say that before I get into it. I think Kate Winslet's my favorite performance of hers was in Sense and Sensibility. I love that movie. I fell in love with that movie, and I think she was flawless. And then, as far as Leo, I mean, I've seen so many of his movies. I've been such an avid fan, and I think I personally think that his best performance was in Avid, Aviator, where he played the I don't know, the business guy Hughes or something like that. I think he was brilliant, just perfect in that, and I don't think anybody could have p- pulled it off any better. So I mean, those are my two favorite performances from those actors. But going back to my comparison contrast movie review, I want to talk about the movie Titanic, directed by James Cameron, and the movie Revolutionary Road. And I forget who directed it, but again, it had Leo and Kate. So okay, I kind of talked about like how some movies sort of seem like a sequel, um, and I mean there have been lots of people who have come up with ideas for a sequel to Titanic, um, and I think I saw some like versions of it or whatever, which was I don't know. James Cameron Titanic was like really lived up to its name. The movie was like Titanic. I mean, it was just an amazing movie. And if you were lucky like me to have seen it in the theater when it came out, it was just such an incredible experience. And I mean, and it was cinematography. I mean, it was cinematography, whatever. It was cinema history. It was it was amazing. And everybody in that film was just amazing, perfect. It was a great movie. Um, yeah, and it had a sad ending. We all were crying at the end when Jack dies. We didn't want that. We really thought when they were on the edge of the ship, and that somehow the two of them were both going to make it. But in the end, she survives, but he didn't. And we can make jokes. I mean, years and years of watching it or thinking about it, or fooling around with variations of the ending. You can make jokes like, well, if she hadn't jumped out of the rescue boat, maybe he would have made it. If she had just stayed in the rescue boat, he might have made it, because then he would have found that little piece of like wood and been able to stay on there, but he had to give it up for her, right? So he might have survived if she hadn't jumped out of the rescue boat. There's a lot of ways you could think about that, but uh, I mean, it goes on to show, that she had a happy life, and then you see the old lady saying that she's speaking nicely still about him after all her whole life, that that he saved her in every way that a person can be saved, she said, right? So that was cool. But I mean, when you look at the other movie, Revolutionary Road, with the same two actors, it's a very different movie. A very different movie, and I kind of get this weird feeling like it's a really eerie view, or uh, like sequel, if you would, if Jack had lived, if they both got, survived, and they got married, then it could be, it might look like Revolutionary Road. It could, in a way, look like that, because let's just say, Jack said, "All right, well, I'm gonna have a family, and I'm gonna, get a job, and we're gonna live in the suburbs." And then they had two or three kids, and it could look like that. So then all of a sudden, Kate's in the same unhappiness that she was when she first met Jack, where she wanted to, jump off the end of the boat and kill herself because she felt trapped, right? She felt trapped. First, she felt trapped by the rich people and their, you know, expectations and redundant ways. Then she would feel trapped even if she married a poor middle class guy who just has a job and she's just a wife. Then she felt trapped by that. So, I mean, in the Revolutionary Road, they have these intense arguments, about love and marriage, and the duties, or the trapped feeling, and how, see, in Revolutionary Road, this isn't really Jack, it's another character. So this Jack isn't this character isn't giving her the compassion or the sympathy that Jack gave her, you know, that Jack gave Rose. You see, he's not saying, "Oh, poor baby, you're trapped." In fact, his attitude is more like what Rose had expected people to say, "Oh, you're just a spoiled little rich girl." So the wife in Revolutionary Road is not getting any compassion for her feeling of being trapped, or for her depression, or whatever it is that she's feeling. She's not happy, and she does commit suicide. When she finds out that she's going to have the third baby, she just like snaps and can't handle it, and just commits suicide. I mean, from a psychological standpoint, you could say that that was, not more than just marital grief. I mean, or the stress of being, a housewife. I think, it could have been a chemical imbalance that was provoked by the third pregnancy too. But I mean, I'm not analyzing it psychologically, just thinking about it as a sequel. I mean, it's like we don't really know what happened to Rose. I mean, she kind of gives us this impression as the old lady, when she's telling the story, that that she had a good life, that she lived her life to the fullest, and that she did get married. We see her granddaughter, so she did get married and have kids, but she's not unhappy. She didn't commit suicide. And then but the wife in Revolutionary Road does. She can't handle it anymore. She the her first two children are in grade school, and then that third pregnancy is just like shocking to her. And when she tries to communicate her feelings, her husband does not understand her whatsoever, does not know where she's coming from, thinks that she's being selfish and hateful, and she just does not get the compassion or the understanding that Rose got in Titanic. She doesn't get that, and it's sad because it ends tragically. I mean, she made a very tragic choice, and then and I mean, as the actors go, I mean, their performances. You could see that their performances were like more sophisticated in Revolutionary Road, so you could see that they grew as actors. But I mean, because really, their characters in Titanic were very flat and basic, and it would not, even though we love Leo and Kate and they're amazing stars, it would not have been difficult for any amateur actor to play those characters, Rose and Jack. They were very simple characters to play. So, but we loved them. They made Kate and Leo made us love Jack and Rose. And in the other movie, in the Revolutionary Road movie, you can see that the actors, have more complex characters to deal with. They're deeper, more complicated characters, and those actors are sophisticated enough to take that on. But I just think it's interesting that you know the comparison of Rose when she's contemplating suicide at the age of 18 because she feels trapped by the persuasion of her mother to get married, compared to a woman who did get married and, is just tired of pumping out kids and, having dinner on the table at 5. She did not get the same compassion. And I think that that's something to note, because uh, I mean, it makes sort of a statement on our choices and how people treat us for those choices. They say that they value, I mean, like, to point out the husband's hypocrisy, they say they love you and they say that they value you for making, a sacrifice or a choice to love and behold the family unit. But you can see that it doesn't look that way in the movies. I mean, the young girl got a lot more compassion than the older woman who, was the mother and the wife and really had no other identity or life and no compassion. The kids are incapable of it, and her husband doesn't even try to. He just sees her as the villain for wanting any other, idea of a life. I mean, if that's not unfair, I don't know what is, but it's sort of something I think about, especially now that I've experienced a divorce. I mean, I never saw that coming. I mean, maybe I should have because I'm a child of divorce. I mean, I witnessed it many times as a child, but yet when I was 40 and I got married, I really had no idea that that was in the cards. I mean, I really thought that somehow I was going to be better or outsmart the odds, those odds, that they used to say, well, half marriages end in divorce. Well, now I'm just a statistic because I'm part of that half. Anyway, it makes me think about those two movies, and I just wanted to say that it's interesting to compare the two movies and the performances and especially the female characters, Kate's characters, Rose and the wife. I think you know that they're worth making a comparison about. And I have something else I want to talk about, so I'll save that for tomorrow.